All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 10, 2024 Recreation and Parks Commission for the City of Richmond. We are coming to order at 6:01 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a land acknowledgement that we have been doing for the past few years. It's been updated. Hello, Happy New Year, and here it is. We humbly acknowledge that we sit within the unceded traditional ancestral homelands of the Chichonye and Ohlone people who have occupied and cared for this land since a distant time prior to the founding of the city of Richmond, prior to the California statehood, and for centuries before the establishment of the United States. As the Recreation and Parks Commission, we strive to steward the land in a way that honors its past, current, and future inhabitants, and takes seriously the responsibility of its continued care. The mission of this commission is to advise the City Council and city staff to provide excellent parks and recreation facilities, to preserve open space, and to provide programs that enrich, educate, and serve the needs of the diversity of the residents in Richmond. Okay, we've got roll call here, so I am present. Vice Chair Rowden, have not heard from, but unfortunately, something has gone sideways with my email on my phone, so if something is there, I will let you know. I just didn't have access to my computer while I was at work today. So Secretary Blakely.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurlbut.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaiser.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Lanas.
Present.
And Commissioner Torres.
Right in the nick of time, I'm here.
Very good, thank you. All right, so I welcome everyone who is present with us, and individuals in the audience may speak as follows. After the chair recognizes each speaker on items that are not on the agenda during the open forum, there will be 2-minute time. For items on the agenda after the item is heard, again, 2 minutes. Individuals are encouraged to send an email to recreation@ci.richmond.ca.us by 1 p.m. the day of the meeting. Now, that does not mean that you have to send it on the day of the meeting, but that is the cutoff. Emails should contain in the subject line either 1, public comments, open forum, or 2, public comments, agenda item, include the agenda item number. All communication during this meeting is conducted with courtesy and respect, and all speakers will be advised time is up and will be asked to politely end their time. This is the way we try our best to do it. We appreciate folks being here. So I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda. So does anyone on the commission have any comments, additions?
I make a motion to accept the agenda as is.
Okay. So noted. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Hurlbut and second by Commissioner Kaiser. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing no hands, hearing no voices, I will entertain a vote. All in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. All right, thank you. We have now reached open forum. So are there any speaker cards for you or
So-
any
Yeah.
messages?
Yeah, so we start with, we'd received one email from Cordell Hendler. Hello, Chair Smith, Commissioner, and staff. I am submitting the following comments into the record. The commission is invited to the New Year's Mega Mixer, January 22nd, 2024, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at La Strada Restaurant, hosted by the Bayfront Chamber of Commerce for $10 for non-members. Number two, the El Cerrito Chamber Luncheon, January 24th, from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at Los Moles Beer Garden, $25 for members, $27 for non-members. Register on Eventbrite. And number three, the new Administrative Services Coordinator will be coming on board tentatively in the spring. In addition to his comments, we received 14 emails prior to the deadline today, all of which were in support of the pickleball at BTA. I did send the comments to everyone so that you can review them because they're quite long to read into the record this way. I will also post any that we received afterwards onto the city website so that you can refer back to all of the comments. In addition to that, we do have 6 speakers who would like to speak in person, starting with Mr. Ron Gay.
How you guys doing tonight?
Have a seat right here, Mr. Gay.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Mr. Gay, and your time starts now.
No problem. Of course, my name is Ron Gay, and I represent the Kings Accountability Group, which is a global organization based out of the Bay Area here. In conjunction with West County Youth Salesians Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club, that is, I'm here to speak on the importance of athletics in the community, specifically baseball and pickleball. Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America. And specifically, we're holding a function here on the 27th of January at the Youth Club to bring out one of the top pickleball players in the country, just to represent the city of Richmond, to show the kids of this organization, of this particular city, how important this sport is to their health. We would like to also see if it's possible in any way to bring the sport to any other areas in Richmond as well. We feel that this sport is, like I said, one of the fastest growing sports in America, in the world, and it also gives kids the opportunity to be more interactive and to have their health as being one of the best things that they can actually, take part in. Sports is something that's given a lot of our youth different avenues of staying out of trouble. Pickleball in particular is a sport that gives these particular kids that maybe don't have the abilities to do a lot of the things that baseball may have. In addition to that, we just strongly feel that any type of sport that gives kids an opportunity to express their athletic ability in another way to do certain things besides being on the streets, getting in trouble, doing all type of stuff that's going to lead to them being in violent situations or becoming recidivants. We think that pickleball, as well as baseball, are definitely some sports that'll give these kids an opportunity to do some special things. Specifically what we have here, and we'll leave these flyers here for you guys as well, my organization, Kings Accountability, along with West County Youth Salesians Club, we're sponsoring this free clinic, completely free, with a barbecue, just to celebrate just how special pickleball is to the world right now. We're bringing it to the city of Richmond through Salesians Youth Club, just for you guys to see what it's like. And we're hoping to get as many people out as possible. Thank you.
That's your time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Lila Del Rosso.
Hi, I'm Lila Del Rosso.
Welcome. Time is starting now.
I have been a resident and a homeowner of Richmond since 2019, but been visiting Booker T. Anderson Park since 2017. I would like to say thank you to the pickleball community because it has provided, especially during COVID times when there was an office community, it's provided banter, friendships, and an inclusive community I didn't know existed before. From my experience, pickleball has made the community in the park a better place. I will be honest, drug dealings outside of the courts have gone down since we have been part of the neighborhood. Neighbors have come out to thank us for that participation and sort of pushing out that activity. We've received pushback, or what has felt like pushback, from city government, and I'm not quite sure what the resistance is. This is a community that brings people together. We see Darlene running out and grabbing people to learn and play and be part of the community. She grabs children's, puts paddles in their hands and shows them the game. That's not something you see in any other sport that I've seen, at least in my recent history. The courts have made multi-purpose, which limits and hinders our ability to fully utilize pickleball or limits the time. And in my experience since 2017, I have not yet seen a tennis game play on those courts or have been attempted in any way. So with the tens and hundreds of people showing up to play pickleball on a weekly basis, I'm not quite sure why we were not enhancing and promoting this community when tennis isn't necessarily showing up to the courts. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you very
you.
much. All right, next up we have Gary Hurlbut.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Hurlbut. Your time is about to start. You ready?
Well, Happy New Year to
Happy New
everybody.
Year.
I'd like to reflect a little bit on last year and then talk a little bit about what's going up in 2024. As most of you know, we field adult teams here in Richmond and play against teams from Oakland, Walnut Creek, some San Francisco. And this last year, and I've sent you notices throughout the year when things happen, but one of the key things, we had 3 teams that actually won the East Bay Championship. And one men's team, one women's team, and one mixed team. So it's all the diversity we had. So we're really proud of what they've been able to accomplish. The other thing that's really cool that is happening on the tennis front is the youth program here at Nichols stopped when COVID started, unfortunately. The good news is, as of the fall, the rec department has actually restarted the youth programs. They're free. They exist 2:30 to 5 on weekdays every week. So it's just great to see the youth getting back out there and being able to use the courts at Nichols. If we look forward to 2024, we actually have the most number of tennis teams we've ever had. We actually have 8 teams playing from ages 18 to 80. Not too many 80 years old, but there's a couple. So we're delighted to still, have all ages out there and all skill levels to actually compete with these different teams. And I'll continue on that as that happens throughout the year, just with the commission, what's actually happening. So we're really happy to be able to afford some healthy and energetic exercises for both adults as well as the youth program getting started at rec department. On a separate item, I won't talk anymore about the separate item.
Yep, that's been 2 minutes.
The next item, okay. Next up, we have David Arriaga.
Hello, Mr. Ariata. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, your time starts now.
Yes. My name is David Arriaga. I'm the Director of Operations for the West County Salesian Youth Club, formerly known as the West Contra Costa Salesian Boys and Girls Club. So as you've seen before me, Ron was speaking about the pickleball event that we have coming up, working with Kings of Accountability and also to the East Bay Pickleball Association. And the goal that we really have for our youth club is, and my motto is why invent the wheel when somebody's already doing it best, right? So finding the needs in the area, and pickleball is one that we have found to be, again, one of the most popular growing sports in the area. So providing the pickleball services, a free clinic to youth and adults, including after that is providing even more, giving a wraparound service, having mentorship, other sports programs, facilities for others to be utilized, and growing the sport of pickleball, including other sports of baseball, basketball, and any others. And really for us, we would like to see the support of the City of Richmond, the Rec Department, to really help build what is being established. And I think having that will definitely help any and all youth in this area, and also the adults. And we want to make sure that we're doing our part to really help provide services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, can't read the first name, but last name of Wiltz, Marilyn. Okay. That's all right. Come on up, Marilyn. Look like Mary Lowe. And I was like, not sure, and I was like, oh, let me just go with last name.
With nothing to hold on to.
That's why we have you up here.
Sorry about that.
Help yourself and have a
hello.
seat, and then we'll start the time when you're ready.
Commissioners, I guess?
Hello, Ms. Wilkes, is that right?
Yes. Ms.
Okay,
Wills.
and your time starts now.
All right. Let's see. I've lived in Richmond 43 and a half years. Let's see. I'm 73. I learned to play pickleball in July and started playing at Booker T. Anderson in October. And the reason I'm here is because I wanted you to consider proposing to make some of these courts have permanent equipment. 2 of them do and 4 of them do not. Unfortunately, I was trying to set up the pickleball. We won't just call it a net. It's got end pieces that are metal on November 15th, and I face planted. And fortunately, there was a male nurse there who suggested I go to Altabates. So I went for the first time in an ambulance, and I ended up having 5 sutures in my nose, a hematoma, bum knee, et cetera, but I'm fine. But it would be really helpful to have permanent equipment, and they do have it. There are these holes in the cement where you can put it, but for some reason, we're only allowed to have it in 2 of the 6 places. So that's why I came, was just to present that as a request. I don't know if you've ever played pickleball, but it's not only fun play, but you get to meet a lot of people. And the whole idea is to have fun. So I'm glad to hear we're offering it to the kids too. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for speaking, Ms. Wilkes. I'm glad to know that you are recovering well. Sorry that you had that experience.
Next up, we have Sanford Chan. Hey, Sanford.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay,
Go
Mr.
ahead, your
Jan,
time will
and your
start.
time starts now.
Go ahead.
Yes, longtime Richmond resident. And I started playing pickleball here when I discovered Booker T. Park. And I liked it so much I volunteered and introduced all my friends to it and neighbors. And it's been a wonderful thing. I have played tennis before too. And due to physical limitations, I prefer pickleball. And I played ping pong as well and badminton. But I really like pickleball due to the socializing aspect when you're waiting around and you're talking to everybody. And so I helped, assisted to get Booker T resurfaced and saved the city quite a bit of money. And I really enjoy it. And a lot of times we're overwhelmed with people there. We have too many people, and it's a bit of inconvenience to set up the nets all the time. But we're doing the best we can, and it's great to see the family and friends and residents of Richmond, most of them are from Richmond, come and play and have a great time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Karen Hilliard. You're ready. When
All
you're ready.
right, is
Good
that
evening.
Gilliard?
This is my first time here, so I hope
Oh.
I'm speaking loud enough. I'm kind of I'm not shy. I'm
Okay.
far from shy.
No, that's fine. I was
not
just trying to
used to
make sure I was pronouncing your last name
No,
properly.
you said it correctly.
Okay.
Hilliard. Okay.
Thank you.
I always tell people like a billiard hall.
Uh-huh. Your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. I have lived in Point Richmond since Christmas Eve of 2004. I'm 74 years old. We'll be 75 next month, Lord willing. And I discovered pickleball through Sanford as my neighbor who hounded me to go and told me that it wasn't like tennis. I could actually enjoy it. Went and found out that it was so much fun, and all ages. I can take my grandchildren there and play with them without straining my body and get exercise. I used to like to walk through the tunnel through the park, but I have to admit times have changed tremendously, and I do not wish to be a victim, and I'm going to leave that alone at that point. But with pickleball, I'm surrounded by all ages. Everybody there is there to have fun. We have fun. I enjoy it tremendously. I have never seen, don't give me like, I have seen someone play tennis at Booker once. So I think pickleball is kind of taken over, and I would like to see it continue because there is a sport out there for the elderly as well as the young that you can enjoy and meet a lot of wonderful people and have a fun time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And early happy birthday.
Next up, we have Darlene Drapkin.
Hello, Darlene. Happy New Year.
Hi, Joey. Hi, everyone. How are you guys?
Good. Okay, so your time starts now.
Thank you so much. So I'm here to tell you about all the accomplishments of East Bay Pickleball Association the last year. We did resurface the courts. We have been pleased that the Ed Fund, the West Contra Costa Unified School District, we're renewing our contract so we can provide pickleball services to the youth at Stige, at Grant, at Bayview, Terra Hills, and Nevin. We're hoping to start teaching pickleball over at Richmond High School with Sam's support. But we're so excited that we've got a collaboration going with the West Country Unified, with the Salesians Youth Club, because we've got Gizmo, who works in underserved communities. That's his picture right there. He's coming out. So we know we're reaching the underserved community. We need those courts at BTA. We had 35, 40 people and sent hundreds of letters back in September with open hearts because we really want to enhance collaborations with you guys. We didn't receive a single response. We've been emailing, and this week we got an email that you're going to finally get us approval on some signage that was removed from the courts. That's progress. We are also hearing that you're going to let us install a small container because that big, enormous Godzilla that I call it is really difficult to get into, and it really bummed me out when Maryland fell down putting up those portable nets. We should not be having to go to this much work, you guys, to put up nets up there. If we saw it, there are 22 tennis courts in Richmond, and we're so happy that we can be the gateway sport to tennis, because that's what pickle's about. It can help at the beginning of life for kids as they're getting into tennis, into baseball, into soccer, and it also helps as we're starting to wind down. That's what's great about pickleball. We can play it with our grandchildren and with kids. So please, please, let us bring back those permanent nets back to BTA. It's a way that we socialize together too. So thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, thank you.
Any other speakers? Everybody good?
Do we have any other speakers? No? Okay.
That's all I
I'd like to also thank those who are, West County Salesians Youth Club. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to remember the acronym. But thank you for alerting us to this clinic. I encountered Ms. Drapkin out looking at sites, and she mentioned it before. So now we've got something in our hands to share with people. Thank you.
And we can share the image too, so that you guys can pass it on in social media too.
Okay, thank you. All right, so no one else to speak? Hi. Okay. So, all righty. Next, we just want to go ahead and say some announcements from the chair. The next Recreation and Parks Commission meeting will be on Tuesday, February 7, 2024. This is, well, it's usual for us to meet on the first Wednesday monthly, except for twice a year, January and July. And you can figure that out, the holidays right around that time. That's when we meet on the second Tuesday. So, you know, some folks, they come and then they don't realize why the change. Currently, we have $413.08 in the commission trust account. And currently, there are no membership changes to our number of commissioners here. So, thank you. Okay, I hope everyone got a chance to at least scan over the December 6th meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments, corrections, concerns, requests? Okay. Then at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I make that motion to accept the minutes as they're presented.
Okay, thank you. It's moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, no one thought of anything at the last minute. So all in favor, please signify by stating aye.
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 Okay, any opposed, please indicate by stating no. Do we have any abstentions?
I abstain.
I abstain.
Okay, so we have 2 abstentions, and the ayes have it. All right, so we'll move forward with that. Oh, we've got department reports. Up first, our Public Works Parks Division, report from Mr. Hardesty. Happy New Year. Welcome, welcome.
And good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Happy New Year. So we've been busy, especially with the time off that we had. We were closed for almost 2 weeks with just the skeleton crew. So we got behind quite a bit. So we've been scrambling to get caught up. We actually still have staff that are on vacation, like down in Mexico and whatnot. So we're still a little bit shorthanded, but we're scrambling to get things done. On the left side there, you just see Southside Park, getting it cleaned up there and doing some edging. You saw the bushes there down the left-hand side getting pruned back to get some visual, to make sure people don't want to set up camp there in between those bushes. On Robert Miller Drive, we have our Ventrex. That's like a heavy-duty weed abatement, I should say, mower. We mow down tall weeds, thick stuff. We actually have 2 of those now, so it helps quite a bit. There's one in Hilltop and one for the general fund area.
Can people, like, try to borrow that every once in a while, that some of the neighbors might?
Sure, we can
appreciate
hire them as an employee first, and then they'd be welcome to operate it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will let them know if you're hiring.
So yeah, so clean up. Yeah, so clean up on some non pathway. It's over by Braxton Park, and then Meade Avenue. We had some debris overgrown over there that we cleaned up.
You know what, while I'm thinking about it, how well does this type of machine handle those berry vines when they try to go all crazy?
It chews them up pretty good. In fact, also what's good about it is if you see the wheelbase, it's really wide, so we can go on hillsides with it too, which is very nice as well. And the seat that the operator rides in will kind of like level them out as they drive on the hillside.
So it's
they're not
ergonomically
driving
considered.
like this. Yeah, they're kind of
Okay.
like more level. And we can and there's other attachments we can put on there. You name it. Anything like maybe a Bobcat attachment would have, we can put on that. It's a 3-point hitch. Next slide.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. There was one more that you didn't talk about.
Sure.
Mead?
Mead.
Yeah. Yeah, I interrupted
Oh
you
yeah,
at none.
Did you have a question?
No. it's
Oh, no,
just-
okay, so I'd mentioned that, that we had there's some overgrown vegetation there along the sidewalk that they had to cut back and clean up.
Oh, okay.
And we got some mulch installation over at BTA Park, trying to, it helps us mitigate the weed coverage. And then over at Lemoyne Park, we had what they call coyote brush. It was pretty well thick on that area, so we kind of cut it down because of the bobcat. Because of the mountain lion. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. There was a mountain lion issue in that area, so we've been going around the park and anywhere close to the play area that are up top. This is where this gentleman is doing most of the cutting there. So we cut away a lot of bushes there. That way, so-called mountain lion can't hide in the bushes close to the kids. So it's kind of opened up more. And our famous tree crew.
You know those coyote bushes are going to come back.
I'm sorry?
You know the coyote bushes, if you just cut them down, the roots are still there. They're going to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've had much experience with that, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So our famous tree crew, all three of them right there, just going through the neighborhood, and looks like raising some melaleucas there. Next slide. This is a hilltop district, so just doing some work on Hillview Drive and doing some more pruning along Atlas. Unfortunately, somebody dropped a couch. I guess somebody thought that they'd give it away and somebody take it for free. Well, the city did, and unfortunately, that happens quite a bit. And then some more weed abatement and pruning along Bloom Drive. In the Marina District, over there at the beach, they have to rake it out a few times a year due to anything that washes up or whatnot, or anything that grows. So they go in there and clean that up a couple times a year. The Marina Trail, same thing. And then then the weeds that could grow in the cracks along the Esplanade and the trail and whatnot get cleaned up as well. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that is my final slide. Any questions I will entertain.
Questions? Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Torres.
Hi, Greg. Happy New Year.
Hi, and Happy New Year.
I did want to follow up on the lighting of the basketball courts at BTA, and if there was any updates on any estimates, exploration on modifying the lights of the perimeter of the Shields Reed. I'm sorry, let me back up. Updates on lighting on Shields Reed basketball courts and the perimeter lighting at Shields Reed Field.
So, so we met with LaShonda and one of our electricians yesterday. We had a meeting, and so the electrical part of it is not in my realm, so I don't have a lot of information. But what I do know from what the electrician said yesterday is they are aware of it, and they're working on getting at least the basketball courts up and going, because we know that there's a concern out there. My suggestion, if you'd want, is to maybe email LaShonda if you want some more information. She's the one that led that meeting yesterday, so she may have some more notes on that.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lennis.
Question around Humphrey Play Lot.
The flooding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to look into it?
Yeah, well, it's the same. I met with my director yesterday, and we discussed the situation. And what I told him is that it's, Humphrey. There's the issues with the kids going there with the swings and knocking the dirt out, and the rains and stuff. It fills up. The water table is really high there, so it's actually going to have to be. I mean, if we really want to dive into a lot of the standing water, it's going to have to be engineered, because it's the water table is like right there. And so, and then the same thing, in fact, it happens over at Nickel Park as well, underneath the swings. It's just a problem all around. So I did direct my staff to pay a little more extra attention to those swing areas, those fall zones, and because hopefully that'll help mitigate some of it. Other than that, it's a problem all over the city that we have with the FIBAR. And one of the things that I spoke to LaShonda about, well, actually she was in the meeting yesterday too, and one of the things that she asked was, would the rubberized surfacing help? And I said, absolutely. This is, whenever I get a chance to put the rubberized surfacing in any of our playgrounds, it definitely would help that situation. So, but obviously that takes money to do. And that's it.
When you say rubberized surfacing, are you talking about those, I guess, repurposed tires that interlock like?
No, it's what it is rubber, and probably most likely they are tires, but they're ground up into little bitty bits, and then it gets in this polymer, it gets mixed with this polymer like concrete, and they pour it out and they smooth it out just like they would concrete. And when it dries, it's a spongy surface. We just had Berg Park done just recently, redone, so that's fairly new over there. So if you ever want to take a ride over there and check it out, you'd be more than happy to. Nevin Park is the same thing. Nevin Park has it, and so does Southside. So we have quite a few parks that we've done that too over the years.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was
I'd like to see Humphrey do it too.
Yeah, go ahead.
With regard to Humphrey, the one thing that occurs to me that might be a stopgap or a temporary measure, because it would be less, is just the whole playground part of the park is sunken, right, from the sidewalk and from the side of the park. So the whole thing is lower than everything else, and rather than filling it in with wood chips, because we know last year we watched them all float up, if the wood chips could be pulled back and a layer of soil added, and then the wood chips, just to raise the.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that when I say it needs to be engineered, that's an option to raise the area, because we can't just do like a I don't know if you know what a French drain is. Well, that was discussed as a possibility, but because the park is lower, it won't drain.
There's nowhere for it to go. Yeah, I just was thinking, because you could pour dirt around the equipment and everything is closer to the ground, but it doesn't matter, right? You can still climb on the equipment with soil piled up, just as a cheaper way to address it sooner.
Go ahead, Commissioner Torres.
Are there any updates on the BTA Community Center remodel? When can we expect a reopening, or what's the status of the work being performed?
Troy, do you have anything on that? I don't.
So the newer part is finished, and they are finishing up the part that wasn't affected. Now looks very, very old, because we updated the whole other side. So we're trying to make the whole center look beautiful from top to bottom. And we also had to replace what happened when we were closed. The homeless pretty much took it over and stole most of the fitness equipment and weights and, pretty much trashed half the side. So we're in the process of ordering new fitness equipment. We want to put new carpeting down in the offices and some other things on the side that wasn't reconstructed. So that's actually in the process, so it could be another couple months. But we're trying to get it online before summer so we can have our summer camps there again. But that's kind of where we're at.
I'll have a follow-up. Is there a scope of project, or is there like who is keeping track of managing the projects? It seems like every time we talk, there's something else that comes up. So I'm going through a remodel in my house. It's never ending. So at some point, you just have to get to a point where you reopen and you go with it. How is that? What is the plan for that?
It ultimately falls on, that's Tay-Tay's center. Tay-Tay supervises that center, and then LaShonda is also involved with, ordering these last few things. We could have opened, technically, but we would have had to shut down again to put new flooring in and, this fitness equipment and stuff. So we just decided to, extend it a little longer and just make sure that it's, 99.9% done. And the other things like painting walls and fixing things up can be done while you're operating, but flooring and different things, it's just better to keep it closed while we finish that up.
Our engineering department is actually managing the project. Yeah.
Given there's a demand for pickleball, I'm wondering if there is a way to meet that demand and consider a dedicated court.
Well, those decisions, unfortunately, are above my pay grade. If the decision is made final that it is going to be permanent, then that's where I'll step in and make those courts permanent. But I have to get that decision handed down to me.
Not just to clarify, not talking about Booker T. Anderson specifically, but anywhere in the city. Maybe consider a new park, another park, given that it seems like there's a positive impact in the fact that the activation of the park may have had very positive impacts in certain areas. What if we can think of replicating something like that, but building a court, not taking away from tennis, that is dedicated to pickleball? Consider that for finding resources to build it and make it a reality.
Agreed. I agree. In fact, I'm supposed to get out with Darlene at some point, and she's going to teach me how to play. So I'm going to get out there.
You'd probably have fun. I know I do. Okay. So, any other questions for? No? Okay. Well, I guess we can move on to the next report from Community Services, Recreation Division. Mr. Porter.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm back again. Unfortunately, Rajana had a death in the family and had to fly back to Fiji in an emergency situation. So our prayers and thoughts go out to her as she'll be back in a couple more weeks? Next week she'll be back. But in the meantime, I got some great things to share with you. And it was a very fun December and fall, winter season. We had snow at Nickel Park. I don't know if any of you came out to see it. It didn't last very long, but while it was there, the kids had a great time. Hopefully we didn't tear your grass up too bad.
I'm just trying to get over the fact that you got Grinch on here.
So they started last year. Last year, we did it on the putting green. There's a company that has a giant snow cone maker, basically, and they can throw ice in it, and it shoots out snow. And we bought 50 bales of hay and kind of set up the course, and then they just put snow over the top of it. And we had our winter camp going that week. And so our kids got out there, but the community soon found out, and there was hundreds and hundreds of people out there, as you can see from the pictures. There's a great video. I don't know if any of you seen it. I can try to forward it to you. Somebody had a drone and just went over the top of it. And so there's aerial views of the snow and the park and the giant crowd out there. It's pretty spectacular. Oh, so there's actually a picture of them blowing the snow out there with the hose, I see, in the upper right-hand corner. And it was such a success that we're planning on doing 2 of them next year. So we're going to do a smaller one for the little guys in an area where they can make snowballs and throw, and the bigger slide for the older kids, because it gets pretty wild out there, and we're going to have to get maybe some barriers around it so we can get some order of people going in one way and going out the other. So the good thing is a lot of people came out. The bad thing is it's not even a bad thing. We just need to get better organization around it so that it's safe. And knock on wood, nobody was injured. And, that can happen with snow. So, and as you see in the bottom right, we have 2 of our coordinators, one as the Grinch and one as Santa. Eric at Parchester is our resident Santa every year, and that's Travis from Nevin there. And also, while our snow day was going, we had a 2-week winter camp, and we had probably 65 kids registered. And we actually had to do a waiting list because we didn't have enough space. And the kids had a great time. The slide was part of that, and they did activities, and we had hot chocolate and a lot of fun things. Okay, next slide.
Can I ask a question on that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So
Questions
just real
about-
quick, what happened to the 50 straw bales?
Oh, are they still? There's still some out there.
No, they're gone now.
Oh, they're gone finally?
We picked them up.
Did somebody?
Where did they go? I mean, they're super useful for a lot of different things, so I'm just curious.
Yeah,
That's a lot of straw bales. So where'd they go?
I'm assuming they went to the landfill. So
Really?
I mean, I could find out, but
I would like to know
When
where
I
they
went
went, and
by-
I'd like to make sure that we don't throw them to the landfill next year.
yeah. Well, I think it had rained a couple of days after.
You know
or
what? They
something.
work
got
as
really
mulch.
soggy and wet.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
okay. Even soggy and wet, they have uses. They'll
Yeah.
absorb the mud.
Some of them, most of them got repurposed for something else. It's evading my memory right now. It might have been a farm or something. Somebody volunteered to pick them up.
Okay.
Most of them.
I would-
They
yeah,
couldn't
I'd like-
take all of them
yeah,
because there was
that'd be
like
good to know.
50.
Because that's city
I'll
money.
have to ask Tay was in charge of that
Okay,
program.
thank you.
So, yeah. And these are upcoming events. We're going to have our annual President's Week Camp, February 20th through 23rd. It's only $20 for the whole week for residents, $25 for non-residents. Oh, that's the extended camp hours. I believe it's 60. Yeah, 60 for the camp is 10 to 4, and $20 for extended care. We had our Candy Cane Classic tournament, which was a success. We've been running this tournament for 30, 40 years, and it took place at Richmond Powell and the Rec Complex. And I believe we had close to 10 teams in 3 or 4 divisions. And you see some pictures there on the right-hand side. That was early in December. Okay, as far as aquatics, we're offering a lifeguard boot camp class. I don't know if you all know this, but lifeguards are hard to come by, period, probably in any city, but especially in this city. So if you know anyone that would like to become a lifeguard, we will give them on-the-job training. And, the boot camp classes start January 9th through 25th, Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Richmond Swim Center, 5 p.m. to 5:40. And what's funny, we have to put this in there, you have to be a competent swimmer, because we've had people try it, and we almost had to pull them out of the water because, it's a lot of cardio work to swim, so you got to be in somewhat good shape or a decent swimmer. Yes.
You also have to be pretty strong. When I was in high school, I took the American Red Cross lifeguard course. And I learned all the techniques, and they said I was adept at doing them, but they felt that if somebody really was drowning and it was a big man, I wouldn't be able to fight them off if they panicked. We would both drown.
Right.
So I didn't get the certification.
Oh, really? Wow. Yes.
We probably should have given you a mock opportunity to see how well you did, if you did well with everything else, but anyway.
You have to be a precarium, so that takes some strength too.
What's the minimum age for lifeguard classes?
That's a good question. I think it's 16? Yeah, it's 16.
It's usually 16. Yes, Commissioner Kaiser.
Do any of the Richmond high schools have a swim team that operates out of the city swim centers?
What's funny is, the Richmond Swim Center's at Kennedy
Right.
High School.
Yeah.
But they haven't fielded a swim team. And I graduated from there in '85, and that was probably the last year we had a swim team.
Because it seems to me that getting a swim team going at the high school would be a great way to get some lifeguards, some future lifeguards.
Yes.
So I don't know I know it's hard to work with the district, but there should be some sort of collaboration there, mutually beneficial to get a swim team going, at least at Kennedy, if not Richmond High as well.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
agree.
just a thought.
I don't know how many high schools have, my grandsons go to St. Mary's, they have a swim team.
Yeah, El Cerrito
And probably
has it.
El Cerrito, but that's just something, we need to bring into the inner city communities and start them earlier so that they're interested in that,
So my guess is, in addition to initiating the conversation, maybe having someone who could serve as a coach and swim trainer there.
As
So,
you can see from Darlene's passion, you have to find a Darlene for swimming, because it takes somebody to push it and to, be with the families, communicate with them, get them to swim lessons and train. It's a lot of work.
it can be.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough of those in the school district right now. Same with wrestling. Wrestling used to be a huge sport. And I don't know of any teams, maybe Albany High School, there's no wrestling anymore.
El Cerrito has a wrestling team,
Cerrito
but
has
I think it's weak. I remember them putting up signs and they were all seniors last year trying to get some youngsters to join, so I don't know.
But just like anything, it takes somebody with a passion to spark it, and then you go from there. Like with soccer, baseball, any sport, and as you can see, pickleball is another big, and tennis. Gary brought tennis back. Okay. This is talking about the winter ball. Hopefully, did anyone here attend? I heard it was a nice time out. Our recreation staff actually served the tables. As you can see, all the tables. They thought they were going to be doing buffet style, but they actually had to service every table, and my employees were like, we didn't know it was going to be that much work. We were sweating. We had to go to every table, and people didn't want their food cold. But that shows it was a good time. There was a lot of people and very successful. 370 guests enjoyed catered dinner from El Sol, music by Digit Sound featuring Top Shelf, and dancing into the evening. It was a great time out, yes.
I'm sorry I missed it. But you know, your comment about the serving reminds me that we had a presentation, I think here, about from RPAL, and that they're setting up a program that was going to be teaching youth things in the hospitality industry,
Oh, okay.
including
Yeah.
food. And I'm just wondering, I don't know how advanced that is, but maybe next year the participants in that program could be the servers at the Winter Ball.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll run that by Kim Carson Thrower, who runs our auditorium. Mhm. Cool. Our Snowball King and Queen crowned at Richmond Memorial Auditorium. This is always a fun event. I've been a judge in the past, and it really warms my heart to see the talent that we have in our West Contra Costa School District and our charter schools. So this took place December 9th, 2023, and there was a $2,500 scholarship and the unique honor of becoming the inaugural student mayor for a day in 2024. Okay, so I'm learning something new. Thank you. And the Snowball King was Ashton Din. Ashton, a senior from De Anza High School, stole the spotlight with his infectious personality and passion for belting out tunes at karaoke. His charisma and talent resonated with the audience and judges alike, securing his reign as the Snowball King. And the Snowball Queen was Malaya Munar, and she's a senior at Pinole Valley High School. She captured hearts with her comedic storytelling about her life, her charm, humor, and unique perspective. She won over the judges, making her the deserving Snowball Queen. And to everyone involved, your contributions made the 71st Snowball Scholarship an unforgettable celebration of talent, scholarship, and community. And here's to a future filled with success for all our remarkable participants. And, you know, again, I'm just so impressed with the young people. When I was 18, I don't know if I would be that brave to get up there and not only just to speak, but also to show a talent. So these folks are the cream of the crop. Upcoming events, we have our annual Chinese New Year celebration, which will be here at the auditorium Saturday, February 10th, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And doors open at 12:30, $15 per person. Includes light refreshment and no outside food is allowed. And here's another one. Well, that's just kind of repeating the information. And then our annual Black History Celebration will be Saturday, February 24th at the Richmond Memorial Auditorium from 1 to 3. Also $15 per person, and you will enjoy line dancing, music, and food. And they're both really fun celebrations.
You skipped over Black History, or did I miss? I didn't. Did you say? Oh, there it
Oh,
was.
that- yeah.
Okay, I was looking. I was like,
I read it from the pink section.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And other opportunities, so we're hiring year-round. During the pandemic, just like in all fields, it was hard to find qualified people to work our programs, and now we're back 100%, so we're always looking to hire new employees, seasonal employees, especially for our summer camps that are really well attended. And there's information there. If you go on our website, the job announcements are on there. And our winter activity guide is out with all our all our activities and programs, and we will be coming out with the spring activity guide very soon. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
had a quick comment.
Yes.
This is for consideration for the next holidays in the winter time. There was a mention about ice skating being a possibility.
Yes.
I would recommend against it. It doesn't work,
Oh, it doesn't?
and it's sometimes sold as ice skating, but the first frustration is that it's not ice skating
Right.
when you see it. So it's setting expectations versus reality. And then I've tried it at Pogo Park this December. Even the person that I know is pretty much a professional at skating couldn't really slide. It's just not recommended.
Okay, so unless you can get a real sheet of ice out there, yeah, good.
They had an outdoor skating rink that was invented for the holidays in San Jose some years ago. And, I'm a violinist. I was there for the orchestra. One of the orchestra members went to skate in between the rehearsals, and somebody in front of her suddenly raised their legs such that they kicked her in the face with their skate, and she had to have emergency dental work and everything. Wow. So that's another thing. Insurance might not be appropriate for having a skating rink.
Okay, well. Yeah, stick to what we know. We have a good roller skating programs too, so I don't know. But, yes. Marilyn?
Just a couple questions. Last year, we presented the rec department with some talking globes. I wonder,
Right.
were they distributed and was that successful?
Yes, yeah, so Marilyn and Gary donated, they're actually globes, and it comes with a pin, and when you put the pin on the globe, it tells you what country and city and all that. So we distributed them to Parchester, Shields Reed, and May Valley. And yeah, it was successful. The kids really liked them. And now we just bring them out when we're doing things related to that, because if we just leave them out there, sometimes they, don't take the best care of them. So we like to do it when we're monitoring the program and stuff. But yeah, but those worked out really well.
I could easily see the pen going missing, so it would never talk
Or
again.
stuck into the globe itself, yeah.
Also, I wanted to let you know that the recipients of the Snowball scholarships will receive their checks at a reception at Laura's Fine Dining on February 3rd from 2 to 5.
Oh, nice.
So the people who were involved, we should make sure the appropriate people receive their invitation. So whoever's responsible for that, we'll see if we can get them together.
What time?
2 to 5 in the afternoon on Saturdays.
Okay. We have a Rec and Parks tour scheduled for that day. And I think we should be done by 12:30, hopefully. So I'll share that information with you if you would be available to attend.
Yes, Christine will receive that shortly.
Great, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Torres?
Just quickly, I wanted to just shed some praise again on the winter camp. My daughter attended, and she had a great time. It is well-staffed. There are lots of great activities. The children, you drop off your kid and you see the kids already socializing, engaging in the activities. First thing in the morning, my daughter and I are not morning people, so she gets there and she's ready to go. So again, great job, very well priced. I actually didn't know there was a waiting list, so now I'm gonna sign up early to make sure I don't not get a spot, but thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for the compliment. And again, it's our staff and the people that make it happen. So, yeah, I'm very proud of them.
Okay, Commissioner Hurlbut.
I just had one last note of information that regarding pickleball, and that's that we set up at Point Richmond at the plunge courts. We put pickleball lines on, and what the tennis people did was show the pickleball people how they could use the permanent tennis nets by just lowering them, and they marked where pickleball net goes, and it really works out extremely well to share a tennis court with pickleball by having the additional lines at the appropriate spots and marking the nets so that they can be lowered for pickleball and just raised back up for tennis. And the people who use the pickleball, use the tennis court for pickleball, are just happy as clams with that concept. So just a note for future discussions on that.
Thank you. So noted. Good to know.
Fantastic. No, it would be great to see. If, I had the perception that there was a tennis versus pickleball community conversation going, but I'm happy to hear that that is a good potential solution. I would be curious to know if there's the option to explore it more, because that would enhance and make it so that we have a lot of pickleball courts. All of a sudden, too many pickleball courts available out of the blue, all over, everywhere. And that would even tackle the regional demand that sometimes comes into Richmond for that reason. That would be fantastic, I think.
Yeah, it's actually a nationwide issue. When I go to our conferences, every city is, holding meetings and talking about the best way to serve pickleball and tennis at the same time. So, I mean, we just all have to work together. And I was going to say, at Booker T, there's no conspiracy by government or anything like that to keep pickleball out or not. And the decisions are actually being made by the neighborhood council over there, and it's been a give and take, so, we just have to keep working together, and then, working with their neighborhood council, because they represent their neighborhood, what they want to see in their neighborhood and in the park. So that's kind of the deal over there. Yes.
Do you do any programming at Lucas Park? Wait, Lucas Park is the one over by Perry's?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Are we programming
Yeah,
it?
do you have activities there?
No. So I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. We are putting together a mobile recreation unit. It's a trailer with all of the equipment inside that you can use to set up a one-day kind of rec center. And we want to use that to activate parks like Lucas Park or any other park where, the citizens are requesting activities on the weekend or after hours. So I purchased the trailer back in July, and I just picked it up in December. It just got registered. at our auto shop, and we are in the process of stocking it, purchasing the equipment, and then we're going to put a shell on the outside with our advertisement. So look for our mobile rec unit to be rolling down the street in probably February, March. But I said that to answer your question. In the past, we took vans over to Lucas with equipment and things, and it would be one day a week. But now we don't have like a permanent.
I used to ride past there every day, and
Yeah.
it seemed very underutilized. And I wonder about those tennis courts and how hard it would be to paint the line, to do what you did at Point Richmond at the plunge courts. We're just painting lines there for pickleball.
I see.
Just to, to get the pickleballers to stop thinking BTA is the only place they can play. That if Lucas Park is as unused as it seems, as it seemed to me when I used to ride past it, it seemed like that'd be another good place to get some more people using the park, which is always a good thing.
So, as I understand, it has been because the demographics have changed over in that area. They used to actually store all types of play and sports equipment right there on site. One of the tennis courts, I believe, got transferred into a futsal space. And I actually have seen people playing tennis over there, but it wouldn't be bad to put pickleball lines in there if the neighborhood is, in agreement with that. So it's like I was explaining with another organization that I'm with, things kind of ebb and flow. It depends upon who is in the area at the time. And if you change it, quote, permanently, then it doesn't have the flexibility to grow or, get a little bit more small, depending upon who's living there and trying to enjoy it. But I think that it's always great to have options.
Yeah, keep making it flexible.
Right. Yeah. Commissioner Torres.
I just wanted, about Lucas Park, I just want to throw it out there that it is one of the short lists to turn into a soccer field. So that would be a great location for a soccer field. I think there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's a possibility. And also, I would generally agree that I don't see Lucas Park as activated as some other neighborhood parks, except for the futsal courts. I always see kids at the futsal courts. And I also want to highlight that there is a bathroom at Lucas Park. And so that alone is already a big amenity that if we want to look at activation, sports, big activities, that is already something huge that we can already build off of.
Yeah, that is a great park. I enjoy it. Okay. So, any other questions for Mr. Porter? No? Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'd like to welcome our council liaison for any reports you care to share. Happy New Year, Councilmember Robinson.
I think it's working, yeah. So I actually don't have a whole lot of new stuff to share because we haven't been meeting on break. But I did just wanted to bring up a couple of things and remind folks of a few things. One is one of the last things we did as a council was allocate a lot of money to Parks and Recreation services, right? I'm not going to remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but considerable amount of money for soccer fields, over, what was it, Sam? It was like 5.2 million.
And they got grouped in with a bunch of other stuff, but yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the other stuff was a good amount of money to do repairs and improvements at parks. So I think that there's a good opportunity when I'm thinking and I'm listening to the issue at Humphrey. I'm listening to the issue with the lights and repairs that need to be done with lights. And I'm thinking that we have this pot of money that has been allocated, for improvements at the parks, and that this commission could advocate for that money to be spent in specific ways. So we don't have a particular list of things that that money was intended for. We just knew that there was a lot of needs for improvements. And so, I just wanted to, you guys could have a huge opportunity now to focus in and really say, hey, here are our top issues, and we really would like to see these funds be used in this way. Could really be impactful. That said, I also just wanted to say that in terms of the soccer fields, there isn't a champion like we heard tonight with the pickleball outside of Sam, really advocating not just for that we want soccer fields, but was willing to walk through the process to make sure that the capital project gets moved forward. And that's a big difference between saying we need more soccer fields and saying, okay, let's get into schematic design. Let's make sure we choose a designer or a contractor, an architect, and really working with Public Works and other folks to make sure that that's happening. And not only is that's happening, but there's a community process that people are involved. Because there was this list of soccer fields that was created by Valier's kind of team and effort. So we have low-hanging fruit of different parks where, these soccer fields could be developed, and 2 or 3 of those could be created with that $5+ million. But if there was some, you could have input on that. you could say, we really want to see it at these 2 particular places, and in order for that to happen, when is there going to be an RFP sent out for the architect, or has that been done already? Or when is there going to be community meetings to make sure that this thing gets designed, not just that it's a soccer field, but that there's other things that are related to it that is going to be included in the design, and maybe other park improvements that come with the soccer field. So I feel like in this new year, there's a huge opportunity for this commission to really weigh in and to help guide an influx of, a lot of resources into the parks. So I just wanted to bring that up and say that, I worry a lot when there isn't a champion who's going to push things all the way through, because then it just becomes one more thing on the plate of that. Public Works has many, many capital projects, like 63 or something like that. And there is no capital project champion making sure that these things happen. Outside
So
of that,
noted.
what's that?
No, I was saying absolutely so noted. Thank you. Good to hear that. I'm curious, though, in that discussion, and anyone who knows, please respond. Borman and, doggone it, Boyd. Do we have any updates as to where we are with those status, and have they been considered as part of that 5.2?
So the money for the $5.2 million, it was not allocated to any specific park. It was allocated to generally soccer fields. Borman and Boyd were included in the placement of soccer field assessment. I can't remember if they were part of the low-hanging fruit or not. I feel like they weren't. I feel like it was Wendell and some other ones. Trying to remember, I can't really remember.
They were identified, but not as a priority.
Yeah, not as prior, not as like the easiest ones to do type of thing. And at that time, it was still hopeful that the grants that were applied for those parks were going to be received, and they were not. They were declined in December. So we thought, because there was grants that were written to update those fields, create soccer fields, and they were waiting for a reply from the state, and they didn't get the grants.
All right, the
yeah.
last I heard about Borman was, I guess it was a CEQA issue
Oh, sorry.
over there.
So Boyd is in that case where they applied for the grant and they didn't get it. Borman is a whole other ball of wax, and
Yeah.
that has to do with contamination on
It's
site
soil,
and
yeah,
escalating
soil
costs.
mitigation.
Yeah.
Soil
and-
mitigation, most of the
Soil,
funds are
yeah.
going just to clean the area up.
Okay, yeah, because it's like Prop 68, there was a lot of work that went
Yeah.
into Borman being the park that was selected to have that money. And Boyd was supposed to receive a portion of that money as well, because during a good number of months in the year, the field out there is pretty swampy and spongy. So these are things that were already in process. And now I'm refusing to take my eye off the fact that there were other things that were in process before we got the big emphasis on the soccer fields. Okay, it's not that I'm not in favor of the soccer fields or the pickleball courts. It's just we had things in play. And unfortunately, this is what happens when folks aren't keeping track of this stuff. That's another reason why I'm very thankful for Commissioner Kaiser and Lannis with, hey, where are we with that plan? And we're finally starting to get that information and say, okay, this was what was suggested and this is what is done. So,
Can I say a few things about Borman? 'Cause my understanding with Borman is that it's kind of a Pandora's box. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, the folks came to council a few times seeking additional funds to cover the additional costs that are being uncovered at Borman, and the cost has escalated pretty extremely above and beyond the grant cost. I think the last estimate of overage was in the like millions of dollars range just to start the mediation. And then it was estimated in the next phase that there would be another millions of dollars of escalation on top of that. And it feels like this kind of black hole of costs that keep going up, and they're, and, you know, upward of, if you add everything together, of like $10 million above the grant that was already awarded. And so that becomes a problem with when you have a limited amount of resources. You know, how much do you sink into one problem that you don't even know the bottom of the hole yet, when you could take those same resources and get multiple outcomes from that? And so I think that maybe it would be really good to get a full update from the Public Works team so y'all can really understand what we're hearing in terms of the depth of the problem at Borman. Because it's when you have limited resources and you have something that just keeps opening up and getting a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger hole, and there's all this need, you know, you wonder what's, not you wonder, you have to make hard decisions on where's the best place to put your money so that community members are getting resources, are getting access to better parks, better things.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm in agreement as well. The thing about it, though, is have you, in whether your childhood, young adulthood, whatever, somebody made a promise to you. You took them at their word, and then it doesn't happen. These are the type of scars that a lot of the citizens in this city are dealing with, whether it's from their own families or it's from government or whatever, okay? So in order to try to reduce minimize this type of thing happening, because we're going through that with the pickleball, okay? Somehow or another, something goes askew from the original plan. Some things are outside of our control, but some things could stand for better, more in-depth planning. The CEQA issue, it's like, okay, if we don't have someone specifically assigned to deal with these type of things, with our parks and other facilities, our different lands, then how can we, it's almost as if the efforts that go into trying to get these grants and the efforts of the communities that are just like, okay, if we get the grant, this is how we can do it. I mean, a lot of time and effort goes into this. So no, I'm not putting any blame at anybody's feet. It's just I'm looking at things from, I guess, kind of like a 300-foot view over my time here on this commission. There's a lot of things that either didn't happen because of lack of information, although it was promised that it was going to happen, or something happened that was asked for but not where it was asked for. There are some things that if you want to try to have integrity and be about your word when you're telling an entire city something, I don't know, it's just, it's not necessarily something we can fix immediately, but it would be great if we do what we say and we mean what we say, so that when it's done, it's done. And once people see that our full intention is to do exactly what it is that we have quote unquote promised, if there is a change, they're not gonna say, oh, there they go again. They never finish what they said they're starting. These are the things that I'm hearing out in the community. I'm sure you probably hear some of this too. So.
Yeah, Mayor Flores, man. You know, Eastern Village. Like, there's a number of different things that are in that's the thing. And what I'm seeing is that they're real major issues and reasons why we got there, mismanagement and other things. But in the case of Borman, here's what I advocate for. It is an enormous problem because of the cost of dealing with contaminated soils. But there are federal programs in the EPA that are remediation projects. They're brownfield transformation funds. They're big dollars, especially right now because of the IRA and, you know, kind of post-COVID, they elevated those amounts. And so we as a city, with that project in particular, could apply for Borman as a brownfield site. The issue is that we then need it to be very coordinated so that we can get an extension on that grant, tell them that this came up, apply for those brownfield funds so that we can, you know, address those issues properly, correctly, without endangering people's health, and then go on. So there's a way to work around the issue, but it is a big issue. It's not a small thing that people just don't want to deal with. And it's a big issue. But I feel like there is a pathway. But again, you need a champion who's going to be like, you know, so there's a big iceberg in the way. We're going to figure our way around it, you know, and who's going to, you know, get that grant deadline, who's going to make sure that the city applies for it, who's going to push to get council members behind it, who's going to push to get the city manager on board, who's going to push to make all this stuff happen and coordinate with the existing grant so we don't lose it because of timing, you know, like there's a bunch of things and you need a champion to do that. and make sure that happens. So there's a way.
Good, glad to hear it. Whose hand was up first? Okay, Commissioner Torres.
I just want to acknowledge that, that the sense of disillusionment that we're all talking about, it's very real. And I think a lot of us here have been motivated to go into public service because of that, right? Not all of us, I mean, we still struggle with it all the time. The resilience needed to push through, to deal with these obstacles, to be that champion, it's never ending, it's ongoing. And I just want to acknowledge that we're doing that work. And I appreciate each of you for pushing through in your own ways, and keep going on these efforts. I have families in my soccer club who are very passionate about Borman Park, who've been really involved in the grant process, and they're really concerned about losing the funding. I think they have until the end of June to use the funding or apply for an extension. My understanding is that these families are done. They're like, we put all this effort, we put all this money, and now what? Now, you know, there's just the disillusionment, the distrust, the like reinforcement of the like, oh, I told you so, right? I think there's opportunity here to also communicate these challenges. I also think that the ambiguity is making it harder to communicate these challenges. If there isn't a champion or that one resource or that one person that's able to tell you what the current status is, because it feels like in a lot of these projects, BTA, for example, community center, there's a moving target. It's just the goalposts are constantly moving, and so being able to like get updates feels impossible sometimes. So I don't know who that lands on. I don't know if there's a specific person, a specific body where we should have reliable, up-to-date resources. Is there a website? Is there a Facebook page? I don't know what the correct answer is, but I feel like these are ongoing issues that really need attention. And I don't know if that's a leadership issue. I don't know. These are ongoing, and I share frustrations, and I thank you for pushing through despite them.
One of the things that LaShonda had mentioned in our meeting the other day is that putting information out on the website. So that is coming in regards to BTA. Keep an ear out for that.
And one of the things that I did with Mayor Flores, and I felt like it really helped until we got to a big barrier that we couldn't do anything about. Unfortunately, the city, sold that property and made it the outcomes for it out of our hands way before my time. But what I asked for was that there was a monthly update given by the project manager to a list of concerned kind of advocates who have been involved with the project over the years. And that really helped in this last year where we're back on and trying to figure out what was going on with Mayor Flores. There's literally a monthly update. So, we weren't playing telephone. The developer wasn't saying one thing, the city saying the other. Everyone, the developer and everybody was on the same email update. And it helped to keep things straight and get information to people so people felt super informed. All of the issues were updated on, even if there was no update. That was the request. Even if there's no new information in the update, it said, no new information on this, we're still waiting for X, And so I feel like that is, like you said, is an issue across the city. Multiple projects have this problem. We don't know what's going on. People give up, feel like whatever. And oftentimes there's a bona fide, not always, but oftentimes there's a bona fide barrier that somebody's trying to work around. So if we could set up such a thing with Borman, with BTA, where the people who have been involved, who really want to hear, can sign up to receive this community update, because there is a project manager working on these things, and they know what's going on, and that just, goes out on the same day each month to a list that people can sign up for. I think that would help resolve things, and I can request that. I will request that.
Thank you, that'd be great. Who's next? Okay.
There's a couple questions on this side.
Okay, go on.
Okay, go ahead.
One question on my end was, is there a timeline? Thank you so much for the incredible information you just shared. very valuable. Is there a timeline for ideas for allocation of the monies that you mentioned can be allocated?
So the money that we allocated is a part of ARPA funds. So they need to be spent. There is a timeline. They have to be spent.
Rather than
I
when,
think it's a couple of years that we have to spend the money. And that's why it had to be specific types of projects. It couldn't be super long-term projects that may take 10 years. We have a finite amount of time to use it. We have a finite amount of time to allocate it, like to specific projects, not just to a pot as well. And that timeline is coming up within probably the next year and a half. And we have to spend it in the next 2 to 3 years. I can give you exact dates and send it back to folks, but that's true of all of that money. The soccer field money, the park recreation improvement money, all of that has to be used within that time frame. So, it really is a great moment to jump in and say what you want to happen, because the money has to be used or else we lose it. We don't, that's it, feds take it back.
and then just to have an idea as to the avenues and how to bring the recommendations, is that something that we might want to work on little by little at every meeting? Is there a subcommittee that should be formed to consider that and work on ideas, or we can just shout out ideas as we go?
I believe it would make the most sense for us to talk about this a bit by bit at each meeting, and we share in the, what is it? Would it be, I guess, maybe, no, it's got to be before agenda setting. I'll talk with Ranjana as to where a good spot would be for that, because if anything, this could possibly be a dedicated ad hoc, I guess, but something specific that we all can participate in. Make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you, and I'm glad we have more time than I thought. It's not like within a month.
Yeah,
And
one more thing before I go, I'd really recommend maybe that you have LaShonda come in and give a presentation on the current thoughts around those funds, current thoughts around the soccer field, because then you could give direct feedback, and maybe at that time you'd be ready to create whatever committee you would like to do to make recommendations, so she and her team also knows. You guys are on the same page. You can kind of work together that you want to help guide that process.
Okay, great. That would be wonderful. I'll make the request that she join us in February so that we can get started on this sooner than later. Thank you so much, Councilmember.
If there's anything you need from
Robinson.
me or if anything I can help on, just let me know.
We appreciate you. Hope you had a good holiday. Good. All righty. Sustainability, climate. I know it was the holidays. Did that? Okay, no hands, because I know I didn't get a chance to get a hold of Lupe, and Marin's been healing. I'm just thrilled that she's here with us. So we can now where'd she go? All right, Doria, are you able to maybe push the advance? Well, I mean, I didn't want us to do her job. She's unionized. Yeah, that's fine. But like I said, it's like she's unionized. We gotta try to make sure that we're not stepping on toes. All right. So it is that time of the year to get a nomination committee for the election of officers. Do we have any volunteers to?
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, all right, so, good. Is there anyone else who cares to work with Commissioner Hurlbut?
Could somebody explain the process of what's the time commitment, what's needed in that, to do that work?
Okay, generally, we try to get, I mean, we can do this pretty much anytime we want to, but it seems to serve us better if we get it done within the first quarter. So we're normally would probably try to get it going in December, so that we would get it done no later than February. But because we're starting in January, it can still be wrapped up in February. I mean, we're not a huge commission. Those who are on the committee would usually find a time to meet, and whoever is going to be the chair of that committee would usually receive nominations for our different officer positions of chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. So it's always nice when people who are being nominated have been contacted so that they can state whether they accept or decline. That makes it a little bit easier on the committee as far as that's concerned. And if we manage to do it within the month, then we can come back. But I think that it would benefit our commission best if we do it no later than our meeting in March, as far as finalizing the election. The only reason why I'm pushing it that far is because we're in the second week of January. I don't know what all everyone has going on. If we can get it done by our meeting in February, awesome. But if not, we can give ourselves some grace. That sound okay?
I wasn't clear about my question. I don't actually understand what the committee does. So that's, I'm trying to understand like what I would be doing if I volunteered to be on that committee.
Okay, so
Sorry.
the committee will collect the nominations for the different offices, and they report it back, and the person who leads the committee, we'll have the vote on the day that we have the election. Basically, you all are going to be the ones who are double checking with, okay, you've been nominated, do you accept, and the like. It's pretty straightforward.
Basically, when the committee gets assigned, the committee will send out a letter or an email to everyone and basically say, hey, you've got 3 weeks to make your nomination. When you make a nomination, contacted the person you're nominating and see if they want the job or not. And then all those things will be presented, and then we all vote on each one of those roles.
Could we also have an opportunity to define these roles for us newbies?
We do have them all written down. So if you don't have them, if the secretary doesn't have them, I know I have them from previous years, and I can get them to you. But yes.
No, that's fine. And our secretary is feverishly going through pages, looking for what's written down.
Oh, yeah, here they are.
Okay, great. But, all right, well, I guess I can read them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, you can read them. Go ahead. You got a microphone. Go for it.
Oh, yeah, okay, let's see.
The presiding officer of the commission shall be the chairperson, who shall be elected at the first meeting in February of each year by the commissioners present. The chairperson shall preserve order and decorum at regular and special meetings of the commission. The chairperson shall state each question, announce the decision, and decide all questions of order, subject to an appeal to the commission. The chairperson shall review minutes and establish the agenda. The chairperson votes on all questions, his/her name being called last when a roll call vote is used. The chairperson shall ensure that new commission members receive orientation and training. Vice chairperson. Those members present at said meeting shall elect the vice chairperson of the commission annually at the first meeting of the commission in January. He/she shall, upon the absence of the chairperson or upon the request of the chairperson, serve as presiding officer. When the chairperson arrives at a meeting after it has been convened by the vice chairperson shall turn over the chair upon conclusion of the business item pending before the commission. In the event of the absence of the chairperson and vice chairperson, or their self-determined inability to act, the treasurer becomes the chairperson pro tem to service during such temporary absence. Upon the arrival of the chairperson or vice chairperson, the chairperson pro tem shall relinquish the chair upon conclusion of the business pending before the commission. Secretary. The secretary shall call the roll, take the minutes, notify the commissioners of proposed amendments or recommendations, and review and assist the chairperson as needed to review communication matters. Treasurer. The treasurer shall maintain all financial records. Here's about the election of officers. The chairperson of the commission shall appoint a nominating committee at least 2 months prior to the election of officers in February of each election year. The first person appointed to the nominating commission shall be the chairperson of the committee. The committee should have at least 2 members. More than one meeting of the nominating committee might be necessary in the selection of candidates. More than one person may be selected for chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary. The majority voting opinion will be the prevailing one in the selection process. The next step will be finding out the availability of the candidates. Members of the committee are eligible to be candidates for office. The nominating committee shall present its nominations to the commission in December, 1 month prior to the commission's scheduled meeting for election of officers. The chairperson of the nominating committee will conduct the election of officers. The first order of business will be to present the committee's nominees for each office. Next, the chairperson will ask if there are any nominations from the floor. Next, an election by voice vote will be conducted for each office.
And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Are we clear? Good? All right, great. So,
I will join the nominating committee.
okay, thank you. So we've got 2, and if a third wishes, let me know. Okay? We good?
So who's the chair?
You.
You're the first. You're the first. I just read it. You're the first. So you're the chair of the nominating committee.
Okay.
Yeah. You okay with that, Gary? Never mind. Okay. So you good? All right. Very good. All right. Up next, just a review on the Richmond Parks Master Plan checklist update.
Madam Chair, we do have a speaker.
Oh, we do?
Gary Hurlbut would like to speak on this topic.
All righty. Which one? The master plan?
The Master Parks,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. It turns red. There you go.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes,
um,
okay, so wait a minute, let me go ahead and,
I just have a
Get
number
to
of questions on this. You know, we have, RTA has an MOU with the city around tennis programs and also part of the facilities that service those. And so I had a question on some of this, but I don't know if it really makes sense more of just meeting with Greg and just talk about this, because I assume this is really your stuff, right? I mean, but there's just a couple of quick things, but then if we can get together, like, for example, Maren talked about, Commissioner Hurlbut talked about what we've experimented over at the plunge courts with having pickleball and tennis both be able to be played there. It's been received very well. But one of the things I'm doing is I've looked at Berg Park, Hilltop Green, Tiller Park, were all resurfaced a number of years ago. And part of what I do is actually just look at those courts and say, is there more work to be done there? And there's a lot of cracks because it's been done a long time ago. And I'm planning to actually submit ECIA grants to actually service those. And those are due in the next month or so. And it would really make a lot of sense, for example, that what we're talking about pickleball and tennis, is to take things we've done at the plunge and say, here's an opportunity where they could both coexist. Okay, and it's a simple solution. This is not hard, but it's only a quarter of the time. But anyway, so I can do that as part of that. But I think there's some discussion we ought to have. It's not a big job, the painting lines and just taking the net strap and adjust it, for example. I'm not sure I want to go through all these. I have two questions maybe that would be important. Is I did see on here, and this has been in our neighborhood, is Judge Carroll Park. It says construct a tennis court. And so I don't know anything about that. So I'm very curious about what that is, Greg. I don't know if that.
Judge Carroll.
That item, I think, was just like a wish list from Marcia when she was doing the assessments of all these parks. Judge Carroll was also talked about for a dog park as well.
I know, been
So,
involved with that for
I mean, there's not a lot of room there to put a lot of stuff there, but yeah. There hasn't been much talk about actually putting a tennis court there.
Yeah, I didn't know why we would
At
do
least
that.
I haven't been in conversations to
We got
that.
two tennis courts sitting over at the plunge. Why would we build another one?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we could talk about the other was on.
Although, Gary, let me interrupt. When this assessment was done, your courts weren't that great a shape at the time, so that's probably why they were talking about that.
Got it.
This is a very old list. This is probably 12 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
This was done in 2010.
Before my time.
Actually, it's 14.
Could I get some
time flies.
clarification? Are we talking about the tennis courts behind the plunge? Because you said
The
your
Hurlbut-
courts,
The Hurlbut
right?
courts behind
The
the
Hurlbut
plunge,
courts.
Ah, okay, understood, thank you.
Because we actually, well, we don't have to go to all that. That's part of what Mayor and I did when we first got started here, is getting those done and then worked on the other ones around the city. But, so it is worth talking about that. And maybe it's something you and I can do separately.
Sure, let's meet.
We don't have to throw these right now.
Is this taking in his time? I'm sorry.
yeah, it
Okay,
is. Okay, so you had another question?
Yeah, the other was on, it says, just say the plunge, site renovation per existing plan. As you know, Mayor and I do a lot of work on that park there. So didn't know, is there something we don't know about, or is that really just on the natatorium itself?
Yeah, this was created well before you guys came on.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe just good if you and I separately
Yeah.
get a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be happy with that. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something that, okay, go ahead.
So are the Hurlbut courts City of Richmond courts?
Yes.
Okay, but they're called Hurlbut Park because, courts because they're sponsored? I'm trying to understand.
No, the area around the plunge is actually named Hurlbut Tennis and Garden Park. It's a city park, yeah.
So it was an agreement that was actually made between the city and us, that we would be the primary people actually maintaining those grounds, not the natatorium itself, but the actual grounds around that.
But RTA actually has a adopt a
Adopt a spot. I was just going to say adopt. You guys have adopted it. And back when, just before when they come on board, those tennis courts were not in that good a shape at all. And then out of the kindness of Maren and Gary, they came and met with me, and that's basically when I first met you, is when, that was one of our first projects together. And we got that done, and then somebody nominated to have those courts, or that area named after you guys. So, and the commission, or this commission actually voted on it years ago, so I thank you for that. Yeah.
A couple of follow-up questions, because I'm trying to understand. The RTA has an MOU. Who has the Adopt-A-Spot?
RTA.
How are these two different?
What do you mean?
What is the difference between the MOU and the Adopt-A-Spot?
Well, the Adopt-A-Spot is, you're agreeing to like maintain it, pick it up, keep it clean, and basically volunteer. The MOU, I think, is more of a financial promise sort of thing. I haven't read that MOU in quite some time, so it'll
When was
list.
the MOU established?
About 2 years ago, and Tate Kisei, who's not here tonight, is the primary person who works on that with me. Me representing RTA and Tate representing the city. And so we've had it for a couple of years, and it's due to be renewed for this year, actually. And it talks about tennis programs, and the facilities actually support that.
Understood. So the MOU applies to where, is there specific facilities or just services for the MOU? Well, the MOU, so I'm just trying to understand, there's all these different labels and for these relationships, I'm just trying to understand. So the MOU is services, not facilities?
It's services, and it's also, though, investigating facilities. So like I look at all the tennis courts in Richmond, for example, and come back and have recommendations and/or supply for grants if we can do that in collaboration with Greg. Does that make sense?
Correct. But the Adopt-A-Spot, so because you're saying there's a facility element to the MOU, right? For all tennis courts.
Yes.
But how is the Adopt-A-Spot different from the facilities component of the MOU? That's what I'm trying to understand.
The Adopt-A-Park is specifically about.
Only that place?
That's
Only,
correct.
only
Yeah,
the Hurlbut,
landscaping and
I
tennis
see.
courts, yeah.
Okay, so the okay, I guess we could talk about it later, but I understand that there is kind of like a sponsorship of the Hurlbut Courts and Park? Is that what would you call a sponsorship for the Adopt-A-Spot kind of?
Right, so
Okay.
we promised to do maintenance there, to provide additional money when updates were required, like painting the tennis courts and stuff like that. And we paid for the experiment after we went to the neighborhood council and got their agreement that we could try and experiment with pickleball to see how we could most easily have permanent pickleball and tennis residing in the same location. And so our community was behind that a lot.
If I can interrupt, let me say one thing, it may help with the separation. Those are two very separate things. The Adopt-A-Park was specifically with Maren and I. It's not RTA. This is us saying that we will actually take responsibility to maintain that. The MOU is really with Richmond Tennis Association in the city. It talks about tennis programs and facilities. So those are not, see what I mean? They're totally separate.
So if you needed to maintain the tennis courts at Hurlbut Courts, that would come from your own money as opposed to the RTA?
Not necessarily. We would be responsible for managing that project.
I see. So you
And
may
we've actually-
request funding from the RTA?
We get grants from EICA, we've got grants from the Olympic Club, so we do a lot of work in getting grants external, but we actually manage that.
We are the board of the Richmond Tennis Association, along with
Yes.
key other tennis
Like
enthusiasts.
snowball stuff, right. That's-
Cool. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand because RTA has such an influence in the community, and I really admire the work that you do. But I also want to understand policy-wise what that actually comes down to, because when I've asked kind of for ideas for partnerships and what Adopt a Spot means, I'm given kind of different answers, and it's not always very clear where these delineations are. So I appreciate your explanations.
Can I answer any other questions? Is that clear? Okay.
I think we have a question from Commissioner Lanas.
Just quick time check, but I didn't know that information. Good job, and thank you so much.
All right, great. Thank you, Mr. Hurlbut. Any other questions or updates?
I have,
Commissioner Kaiser?
I appreciate seeing the list, and are these your, is that your handwriting on there?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
my scribbles.
Okay,
I actually
no.
have a note here to try to clean this up and make it
No,
a
it's
little bit more
okay. I think
presentable.
It's a great start to what
Yeah.
I'd like to see, but as you brought up earlier, this is a very old plan, and it references a lot of things that are, plans, it references other plans. And you're having written done without a date left questions for me, because some of these things may have been done 10 years ago, and they may need to be done again, because some of it are maintenance things, right? So I don't also know where, I guess my first question is, what's the status of the update of this plan? Because I feel like we heard some different things last year about what was going to happen with this update, that Valier was working on it, then she wasn't working on it, that somebody else was working on it. Is there a planned update of this plan?
Not officially, not the actual Richmond Parks Master Plan. That's not really officially underway. However, there are some other things happening, like the assessment for soccer fields. We have a consultant there, and I believe Urban Tilth has something going with some sort of assessments as well. I think it's
Okay.
Urban Tilth, or is it the bicycle? It's Richmond Rides, right?
It's
Yeah.
Can
Will
someone
we
repeat
be able to, so Doria, who do we ask for to get a report on that to this commission? Okay. Is this for the secretary? Can we ask to get a report on that, those parks, equity parks assessments that are going on? Because I think that there's a sort of patchwork, and that's what happens sometimes with different kinds of money, but we're looking at this old list, and we're seeing different things getting done, and then we see some things that say they're in progress, and other things that nothing was recommended 14 years ago, but maybe there is something that needs to be done there. And it doesn't feel like there's a clear overall picture of what is happening, at least for me. I don't know what projects are, I guess there's a couple that are ongoing that you wrote that on, but other things, I guess we just assume that if nothing's written there, that nothing's happened and nothing is planning to be happened. Is that
That's
fair?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I only mentioned something that I knew was
knew about.
either completed or ongoing. If it's not, there's nothing on there, then,
Nothing has happened.
yeah.
Okay. Let me just think about that for a minute. Thank you.
I just wanted a clarification. Council member, could you repeat the name of the organization? You said Rich City Rides and Home something.
Hellman Foundation.
Homeland Foundation? Hillman Foundation.
Hellman, like hell. and man.
H-E-L-L, man? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
and they're the funders, but it's really, who's the consultant that they've hired to work with Rich City Rides? Was that Trust for Public Land?
For which, for the
That's
parks?
working with Hellman for the parks assessment, the parks project?
Isn't it PlaceWorks?
PlaceWorks.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're working with PlaceWorks. They have like they've assembled a group of community members who have been giving feedback and doing park assessments, not just for access issues and like maintenance issues, but also equity issues, looking at like how equity happens in terms of the parks. Yeah, so Robin Lopez, who's council member in Albany, but he's longtime born and raised in Richmond, and he works for Rich City Rides. He's also a PhD candidate at UC Berkeley. He's been the manager of that project. And, you know, he just gave a presentation to a bunch of folks on where they are, so I'm sure he'd be happy to come in and present. While I'm here, I have the actual dates for ARPA time. I give it to you really quick. So the ARPA funds need to be obligated by 12/31/2024. That means like specific projects and allocations made, not just buckets. And then it needs to be spent, totally spent by 12/31/2026.
Did you have something else? No? Okay. You guys good? Okay. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Oh, okay. So, reports. Let's see. Well, let's go ahead and get started with Secretary Blakely.
Besides what I wrote on the Google Doc, I discovered I have a friend who is very much involved in pickleball, and she's in Oakland, and she said Darlene Dropkin had been very active in getting them a place to play, and she was telling me about the park and everything. And she was a little bit misinformed about what happened at BTA, so I kind of corrected her impression. But yeah, I asked how the system worked in this park where the pickleball players play in Oakland. And she said they share it with the tennis players. They have had the lines painted on the tennis courts, and they have a locker there that is semi-permanent, and it's padlocked, and they keep their equipment on the site in the locker, and it's working out fine. Okay, so that's my report on that.
Which park in Oakland, do you know?
I don't remember, but I can find out.
See, people will talk and they will tell the truth when they're not having any particular agendas. All right, so thank you. Well, Commissioner Hurlbut, I know this is your first time back, but fill us in. We've missed you.
Thank you. I missed you guys. But I actually did do some things while I had my 2 feet operated on one after another, and neither one of them is actually all right. So I'm wearing boots on shoes on both feet until I won't be back to quote normal until my visit with the doctor at the end of January. So we'll see what the x-rays look like. But thank you for your kind words and nice things and all that. But what I have been doing is following Snowball, and the sad truth of 2023 is that no one outside of personally Gary and myself, no one contributed to the scholarship fund this year. And the only donation that actually happened, and I have the list here to verify, was done by Joey Smith, which was the last person who contributed to the awards that we gave out last year. That happened in the very beginning of 2023, like February of 2023. In fact, I could tell you it was January 20th when you made that donation, but that went to the scholarships that were supposed to be given out in 2022. And it just didn't happen until February of 2023. And now February 2024 is when we're going to hand out the checks for 2023, because they already got their certificates and their little splash at the auditorium. So this year I want to propose that the Hurlbut Benevolent Foundation take over management of Snowball. So the city would do the same role they did this year. They do the judging, set the parameters, but we do the things like marketing and requesting funds from our local businesses and get out there and be the champion for Snowball, where there really wasn't a champion for Snowball this year at all that I can tell, because nothing came in, no checks, no PayPals, nothing. So it's actually Gary and I who are deciding what those awards will be, and we're giving them out at Lars on February 3rd. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but at least we will have that reception.
When you get more donations, do you increase the scholarship amounts, or do more people get scholarships, or how does it work?
Well, all the money is given out. So when we cut off, which is at the end of January, any amount that's received after that goes into the next year's scholarship. And if nothing comes in, like happened this year, Gary and I will simply decide if everybody gets, we decided that we wanted everyone who passed the interviews will get a scholarship of some amount.
Okay. I did give a donation in 2022.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
was
but
that
this is 2023.
Yeah, was that incorporated then, or was that incorporated in the scholarships?
Yes,
or was-
for last year. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So that's one thing, and
We have another comment.
She can finish her report.
Oh, okay.
And the second thing I wanted to just remind us all of is that one of the reasons that people may not be using the tennis court for tennis at BTA is because when they were painted all for pickleball, the playing area of the tennis court is now so screwed up that you can't really tell where the tennis court is. And so we went over and looked at it after the paint happened. And I wouldn't even know how to play tennis there because it's so not, it was set up for permanent, when they made the pickleball court, they didn't do it according to the specifications that we all saw. And therefore, now the tennis court is, it has to be repainted just to make it look like a tennis court again. And that could have been easily avoided by having the paint job match the sketches that we approved. It's as simple as that. So, which is why I wanted everyone to know that the experiment at the Plunge worked out just fine. And everybody couldn't believe how easy it is to adjust the strap on the net. So it's just another example of being efficient. That's all. And that's the end of my report. I will be more active in the future.
We appreciate what you have done. We weren't in the position to do it. You were. Thank you. All right, Commissioner Kaiser.
I wanted to actually respond a little bit to Maren's report. I appreciate what you had to say about that, the BTA. It seemed like it was so many different things went wrong throughout the whole process, including the communication and the execution. So that's really disappointing to hear that even now the paint stripes are not right. So that aside, I also wanted to say I thank you for the proposing that the Hurlbut Benevolent Association Foundation will take over the scholarship. I have felt uncomfortable about that scholarship because it's so odd. It's not part of recreation or parks. And I know that historically there was a ball and the young people learned skills and that they were trained for the ball, and so that was part of recreation. So I understand that there's a historical reason for it, but it doesn't actually seem like it has anything to do with recreation or parks, and so it seems totally appropriate to move it off campus, so to speak. So I think that's wonderful, because I know you've cared about it, and to champion it and just to do that, I think that's great. So thank you for that. I want to say, use a little bit of my time to just bring up something related to this idea of how Doria was saying that we have to have a champion to get anything done, basically. That every issue needs a champion, and that's frustrating. And I want to just mention, I had to pull it up to bring it up just to see if I remembered it properly. In the city of Richmond, the website has a list of current projects. And for each project, the project manager is linked. But so the projects are listed. These are the projects that are in the bidding phase. These are the projects in the design phase. Engineering planning phase. And archived projects. And for each project, there's a link to the project. You can learn more about it, contact the project manager. And I don't, I know El Cerrito has a very different budget than the city of Richmond. But that kind of clarity and that kind of taking accountability instead of, and making it transparent to the community, like who's doing what, who's in charge of what. If we could push for that type of transparency from the city, then everything wouldn't have to have a champion, because anyone could see and see what's being, see things getting updated, including, our parks and our capital improvement projects, various grant-funded things that I've helped get grants for, and then I lose track of it, and I can't figure out who's in charge at the city of making it happen. It's very frustrating, and I'm not sure how best to use my voice here to help improve things. So I just bring things up that I think until somebody says, yeah, the way to make that happen is to do this. And on the note of the parks, my parks experience to report on right now is just that on January 1st, Danny and I led some neighbors and children on bikes and in backpacks through the neighborhood parks of the north and east. We started at Wendell Park, and we rode up to Humboldt, and we rode to Solano, and then we rode to Berg Park, and with playtime at each park. And the participants were grateful, and the parks were all well enjoyed. There were lots of people at Berg and people at Solano, as there always are. I texted Greg with a picture of the trash at Wendell, which is just continuously overflowing. Thank you for getting that taken care of. And Humboldt wasn't as much of a lake as it was last year on the first, but still problematic. So that's all I'm going to say right now about parks. And sorry if that you were planning to talk about that, Danny.
Thank you. Commissioner Lanas.
Thank you. I'd like to say cheers to the community champions.
Yes.
And remind everyone and invite everyone to participate in MLK's Day of Service. And there are a lot of opportunities available. And if you don't join one, create your own one or just make your own. I was just yesterday at a report a pothole training that gave us tools, even spray cans and a vest, to make it a day of going on your own and reporting to the city wherever you live through the appropriate channels. In the city of Richmond, it would be the City of Richmond app. And go and do just that. If you're into gardening, whatever you're into, let's take that day and be a little bit of a champion that day, and you'll see some potholes reported. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Torres.
Thank you. Firstly, Happy New Year. Welcome back, Mayor. Happy to have you back. On December 9th, my daughter and I went to play pickleball at BTA, and that's when Darlene explained the injury to one of the participants. I can't say I definitely understand. I have to carry my own soccer goals everywhere, even though we do pay for soccer goals as part of some of our permits, but they're often locked or not available, so I have to carry my own goals. Right now, my SUV is out of commission, so I'm carrying I have a big old, what looks like a coffin on top of my little Audi to be able to carry my soccer equipment, just because I need to be able to carry goals and balls and all that. So I sympathize. At least they have a storage container, which is way better than any of our soccer clubs have available. I also wanted to ask about the ECIA grant, because my understanding is they're still waiting on their ECIA grant, the East Bay Pickleball Association, and we are starting a new cycle, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyways, anything related to pickleball and BTA, we really need to sit down and have a really clear understanding of what happened, because it's just kept getting brushed off to the side, and we just can't. We need some serious leadership to do some conflict resolution here. It just hasn't happened. It just keeps getting pushed off, so we need to talk about it. Yeah, we need to talk about it. I mean, it needs to be addressed. We can't just ignore this. So anyways, back to my list. On December 22nd, we visited the MLK vacant lot. I had invited Chair Smith and Tete to look at the MLK vacant lot. I, out of just pure curiosity, have wanted to see what's up with that space, because in a part of town that really needs a lot of access to green space and healthy activities. The biggest issue that came up, I did submit a report to the commissioners and to some city staff as well. I can resend if necessary. But basically, the biggest issue at that vacant lot was there are several grates or irrigation areas that are clogged. There are 2 that are just completely overgrown with weeds and mud. And it's kind of one of those things where if we maybe fix the irrigation, then maybe we would use it more, but people don't want to use it because it's cracked and because it's not draining well. Like, okay, for me, it's mostly like, well, this is a public asset. We need to take care of sewer, stormwater drain issues before we could even really safely use some of those areas. This drainage issues are really only impacting the futsal court, which is otherwise the surface is in really good shape. It has a couple of cracks, nothing that you couldn't patch and repaint. But without seriously addressing those irrigation issues, yeah, there are safety considerations that we need to discuss. My daughter was part of Winter Cap. I brought it up already. She had a great time. I actually went to check out the snow. Very interesting process. They had a big truck with a bunch of pallets of bags of ice that they threw into a machine that just sprayed out snow. Ice to snow, you know? So that was really fun to watch. The City of Richmond Winter Futsal Youth League is in full swing. The first weekend was this past weekend. I attended, 5, 6 games. I don't even know how many. I was there all weekend. I was at RRC all weekend. Kids are having a great time. Again, as always, very well done, very professional, very committed. There's more staff this year, so it's nice to see some new staff getting trained on sports officiating. I wanted some clarity also. I know Tete's not here. I can talk to him. There is a city contract for sports officiating, but I still saw a lot of city staff actually officiating the futsal games. So I don't know what's up with that, because I know they made Councilmember Baina had requested a meeting to explore what the officiating contract looked like, and there was still like Christian and Travis and Tete that were still officiating most of the games. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I'd like some clarity. But either way, we have a whole bunch of girls teams this year, all girl divisions, U12, under 12, under 14 girls divisions, and co-ed and mostly girls for U10. There are a total of 33 teams. And they were able to add expanded practice space. They were out of practice space, so I think registrations opened in like mid-November. And we OGs in the futsal game knew to register right away. So a lot of people who were new to it missed the opportunity to book practice space. So they ran out of practice space. They had a coaches meeting after they closed all the divisions for registration, and they offered more practice space. But if they had this practice space available, we may have been able to expand it further and offer it to more children. So, lessons learned for next year. There are now additional practice spaces aside from the Richmond Rec Complex gym. There's RPAL and the Richmond Auditorium that were made available for the next 6 weeks or so that the league is running. And lastly, just really quick, because I know that's my time. Today, this meeting marks 1 year on the commission. I want to thank, I kind of said it already, and I kind of already implied how inspiring and illuminating this experience has been. Meeting all of you, this commitment is not easy, especially, I'm a working mom. I actually got here a couple minutes late because I was making dinner for my kids and singing to Disney songs, and it was hard to pull myself apart from them. But I know I'm not alone in that sacrifice, and that makes it better. And I also know that we're doing really good work that's really necessary for the community, my kids included, right? So thank you for the year. I look forward to, sorry, I'm getting emotional for some reason. I think I'm just tired, but I look forward to increasing our work in the coming year, especially establishing stronger partnerships with the city programs, the school district, and community organizations, and just really serving our kids My focus for the next year is really going to be on continuing the work we've built on, but also really working on identifying ways to improve access for girls, women, and queer youth into sports, and to be able to provide safe activities and places for Richmond residents of all genders and all expressions their whole life to be able to have healthy, safe activities in town. So thank you all.
Hey, thank you, and happy anniversary. I covered probably about 5 of my parks. Stewart is similar to what's going on over there with yours as far as the chips. But when it's dry, it's being used. It had been a very, very long time since I'd seen irrigation over there at Stewart. And I saw it before the rains came down. I was like, oh, nice. Looked like it had just been mowed down and just freshened up. And so I was like, okay, all right, this is good, this is cool. Civic Center always looks good, except for one thing. I'm not sure about, is there like flooding at the sidewalks out here? Not on the street, but where you walk up here in, because it looks like muddy footprints and whatnot.
Well, again, the water table's really high, so it doesn't drain very well. So a lot of the water that's like on the lawn area or in the bushes will flood over onto the sidewalks.
Yeah, it's like, I think it came like from the bushes or whatever, but I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I just didn't remember seeing it like that bad. Maybe I missed it previously, but okay, all right, that's a good answer. Veterans, looking good. I mean, the palm fronds, they still got to deal with that. But basically, parks are safe. I mentioned, shucks, I just forgot. The one up there on Harbor Way, and we just talked about it, where the bridge goes over at Pennsylvania.
Near Florence?
No.
Near Ohio?
No, it's, anyway, that's okay. We just talked about it, where the futsal is and all that. Oh. Lucas, thank you. Lucas, yes, yeah. It's like, why is it escaping me? But anyway, yeah, I've visited several of my parks and Nevin, and I was pleased to see how Nevin Park was being used, as opposed to sometimes. So that was nice. I don't know, maybe it was the season that helped that out. But yeah, I'm still going over to BTA, like on my way home from work, and when I'm off, I'll check that out. But it's just been busy. Unfortunately, this year I missed the snowball activities in December because it was for my mother's birthday weekend. So it was time with family. And with that, I'm looking forward to us going into a wonderful 2024. There's a lot ahead of us this year, whether it's specifically for Recreation and Parks Commission or the rest of our lives. There's just a lot going on here. So I appreciate everyone who is able to make it here, who does prioritize this commission, and you're dedicated to us working together with the city council, with our liaison, with our representatives on the community services, with the landscapes and parks. I hear from a lot of people on a lot of different things, and I hear a lot of good things. Yes, folks get discouraged with some things, but for the most part, people appreciate the efforts that we as a commission are making. And either they're tired or whatever the reasons are, they don't necessarily come here, but I hear from them. So please know that there are people who are paying attention to us and they appreciate our efforts. All right. Yep. So we have completed our agenda. We are a little bit past time, but we know when our next meeting is. And unless someone has an objection, we are adjourned at 8:35.